Welcome to the Elden Conspiracy. I hope I'm not the only one who, when hearing about the two fingers, thought it was a metaphor for a religious organization led by two humanoid figureheads. I remember laughing out loud when I learned that they were literally two giant fingers, that the title was not metaphorical at all. Let's get this out of the way first. I'm well aware of the theory of there once being 5 fingers, who were then split into 2 and 3. This video will not be about that theory, as it has already been expressed and exposited by much better creators than I. Rather, this video will attempt to suss out the motivations of the fingers in the present day from what we can tell about the story of the game. We hear throughout Elden Ring that the fingers are considered envoys of the greater will, and thus sacred in the Church of America organization, and that their words, interpreted by the finger readers, are heeded as prophecy. However, I think there is ample evidence that the fingers have their own motives, separate from the Church, but present a facade of faith in order to better ingratiate themselves to the tarnished. As we read more about the two fingers, the way they and their servants fit into the wider Church of America organization becomes increasingly obscure. At first, one may think the two fingers faithful are the clergy, whereas Marika herself is the monarch. But then we see item descriptions and hear dialogue calling her a god. We see churches dedicated to Marika herself. So where do the two fingers fit in exactly? In order to answer this, we need to talk about the Church of America organization and its various sub-factions. First, there is the Erdtree Order. This organization most likely began in the Age of Plenty, when the Erdtree freely gave its blessings. This organization would eventually become the Golden Order fundamentalists we know today. Then we have the Dragon Cult of Leyndell. This organization began after the war with the Ancient Dragons, when Lansax took on human form to preach among the humans as a priestess. So we have some idea about where these other groups came from. But the last organization, the Two Fingers Faithful, is far more mysterious. First off, there are myriad pieces of evidence that the two fingers, or sentient fingers at least, predate the age of the Erdtree. The Gulmite Queen is said to have been an Empyrean chosen by the fingers. We also have the existence of the Finger Slayer Blade, a weapon made by the denizens of Nokron for the purpose of killing fingers. There is also this banner which appears in the giant conquering hero's grave. This tomb is dedicated to a troll who fought on the side of Marika and Godfrey against the giants. Yet the banner on display is clearly the emblem of the two fingers. What explains this? At the beginning of the Age of the Erdtree, the two fingers, apparently, had much more influence. And the Two Fingers Faithful probably predates the Church of America organization. Today, we see no banners of the two fingers. They have become a rather clandestine outfit, working in secret almost. Which brings me to the next point. Nearly every mention we see about the two fingers in the present day talks about their dealings with the Tarnished. We meet the two fingers in the Round Table Hold, which is the gathering place of Tarnished. We learn that the two fingers previously inhabited the fortified manor, the original Round Table Hold. From what we can tell, the Two Fingers Faithful is entirely composed of Tarnished, for the purpose of aiding the Tarnished on their quest. There are also the Confessors, Tarnished assassins employed by the Two Fingers for the purpose of killing other Tarnished who stray from the path. If we take this in context of the Tarnished's purpose, that is, to slay Marika's offspring, and depose the current ruling order, it appears that the Two Fingers are running a kind of insurgent group from within the Church of America organization. If they are willing to hire assassins as a form of negative motivation, that means they must really want the Tarnished to succeed on their quests, but why? In this case, the goals of the Two Fingers and that of the wider Church of America don't line up at all. So why do people like Corrin and Goldmask follow the Two Fingers? How did they square their goal as Tarnished with their belief in Marika as the one true god? This is a contradiction I've been wondering about for a while. This contradiction gets more fascinating when we consider one of the fundamental teachings of the Church of Marika, that of the denial of the prophecy of the Erdtree's burning. To even acknowledge that the Erdtree could possibly burn is anathema to the dogmas of the Church. And yet the Tarnished's quest inevitably leads them to burning the Erdtree. If Brother Corrin knew that the goal of the Tarnished and the Finger Maidens was to burn the Erdtree, do you think he would still follow the Fingers? What about Goldmask? Take in context this quote from Melina at the beginning of the game.
One of her kind is sure to seek the Elden Ring. Even if it does violate the Golden Order.
What is this violation she's talking about? Most likely, it is the burning of the Erd Tree, which she knows must inevitably happen. And yet we see Corrin, Dee, and Goldmask all seemingly devoted to the cause of the Tarnished, without any inkling that following the path of grace would lead them to commit a cardinal sin. The most plausible explanation is that they simply don't know, that they have been kept in the dark about the Tarnished's true purpose. This is the reason why Enya and the Two Fingers act surprised when you say you want to burn the Erd Tree.
Heavens forbid. That is not the domain of mere men. The burning of the Erd Tree is the first cardinal sin. And you say you seek the power of the Rune of Death too?
I believe Enya and the Two Fingers actually want the Erd Tree to burn. Why else would they keep a team of assassins on the side to encourage the Tarnished to follow guidance? Why else would Enya have intimate knowledge of how to burn the Erd Tree?
You must find kindling. Only the smoldering flame in the great forge of the giants on the highest peak in the lands between can burn the Erd Tree. But special kindling is required to reignite the flame. For the flame to burn the Erd Tree, a sacrifice is needed of one who envisions the flame and can lead you to the Rune of Death.
If she indeed considers it a cardinal sin. The explanation about the Two Fingers consulting the Greater Will is a cover to provide plausible deniability. They didn't know what sort of Tarnished they would be dealing with, whether you would be pious or impious enough to do what was necessary. Only two Tarnished before you have made it far enough to learn the truth, Bernal and Vike, and both of them, in their own way, turned against guidance, when they learned how and why they had to burn the Erd Tree. How would Enya or the Fingers know if they have another Vike or Bernal in their hands? This is why they keep the Tarnished ignorant of the true nature of their quest. If the Tarnished really knew where guidance would lead them, very few would take the journey. This explains, also, the dead finger readers in Erd Tree Sanctuary. Many theories are floating around to explain this. It's probable that Morgott knew the Fingers and their readers were attempting to depose him, so he had them executed. We should talk for a minute about the Two Fingers' role in choosing Empyreans. Empyreans, according to Ronnie, are
each of us was chosen by our own Two Fingers as a candidate to succeed Queen Marika, to become the new god of the coming age.
Hearing this, one may think this is similar to how religious establishments crowned and anointed monarchs in medieval Europe. However, the main difference is that merely being an Empyrean doesn't guarantee anything. The Empyrean is simply a potential successor. They must claim power on their own terms. But what does it mean that the Fingers are the ones to bestow this power, the ones who choose the Empyrean? It must mean that the Fingers have knowledge of the wider power structure within which the gods such as Marika operate, the wider rules of the universe within which the Elden Ring is situated. In other words, the Fingers are the queen makers of this world, and are especially cagey about it. It seems like the Two Fingers show up and influence society whenever the ruling order has become decadent and needs to be removed. They support and guide whatever faction is helping to replace the current order. Hence, this is why the Fingers were on the side of Marika and Godfrey in their war against the giants, but now support the Tarnished in creating a new order. Thinking about the Two Fingers in this way makes understanding the recusants of the Volcano Manor a lot more complicated. According to Lady Tanith, their goal is to rise against the Erd Tree.
So, Tarnished, have you ever harbored doubts about the burden of grace and the dogmatic ramblings of the Fingers? If you have, why not join the Volcano Manor and fight with us, rise with us, against the Erd Tree?
They seem to believe the Fingers are aligned with the rest of the Erd Tree and Marika religious organization. Little do they know that the goal of the Tarnished, to become Elden Lord, involves rising against the Erd Tree anyway. This makes the stance of Tanith and the rest of the recusants sort of ironic. This also changes the context of Bernal's joining Volcano Manor. Remember, when you first get to Volcano Manor, Bernal, contrary to Tanith, tries to dissuade you from joining.
You. What in heaven's name are you doing here? The Volcano Manor is a pit of recusants who spit at grace and hunt our own kind. I hope you understand the weight of my words. Or do you claim to understand what it means to be a recusant, renouncing grace and hunting down one's own? Well, as long as you understand what you're saying.
He says you should understand the full ramifications of your decision. This is because Bernal knows the truth. He followed the guidance of grace without knowing exactly where it would lead, but he abandoned guidance when his maiden threw herself into the flames. In his disillusionment, he decided to join the recusants as a way of defying the greater will specifically.
O greater will, hear my voice. I am the recusant Bernal, inheritor of my brother's will, and you will fall to my blade. We refuse to become your pawns. Consider this fair warning.
A video talking about the Fingers wouldn't be complete without talking about the greater will, even though it may be somewhat beyond the scope of this video. The Fingers are called envoys of the greater will in item descriptions and NPC dialogue. According to the internet, the word envoy means a messenger or representative, especially on a diplomatic mission. So the Fingers were sent or created by the greater will in some way to act as intermediaries with the denizens of the lands between. There are many theories floating around about what the greater will actually is, that the greater will is responsible for all existence, or even that the greater will doesn't exist at all, and that the Fingers are acting independently. About this latter theory, I think there are far too many references to the greater will acting on its own or influencing events in order for it not to exist. We see from several characters and factions interpretations of the greater will's intentions. However, this doesn't mean that the Fingers cannot act independently anyway. One of the most prominent themes or motifs in the lore of Elden Ring is that of traditional hierarchical power structures breaking down. The best example of this is Marika herself. She is called a god because she is the vessel of the Elden Ring. But the Elden Ring is also a beast/god, that is itself an envoy of the greater will. Not to be confused with the Fingers, who are also envoys. Even the god of this land is subject to a higher power, and that higher power is subject to an even higher power. The absurdity of this cosmic chain of command is very much intended, that everyone, the Fingers and Tarnished included, are part of some cosmic hierarchy that is so convoluted they can't help but defy it intentionally or otherwise. So it makes sense that, even if the greater will really exists in universe and the Fingers are its envoys, they might act independently anyway, and defy their role as envoys, take advantage of the faithful's credulity, or want to burn all of existence. It would be well in keeping with Miyazaki's cynicism. This has been the Elden Conspiracy, signing out.